Hello, how are you today? Happy Monday. Well, from all the set exams across India, Maharashtra set is a very important exam. Now, why? Because the level of questions they ask here are equivalent to NET and all the other important papers. Okay, so here we are, starting with the discussion for Maharashtra set. These questions will be based on, of course, previous year papers and also from our books. Well, what, when, why, how, the oldest book of multiple choice question answers from TES, along with QPads, the eighth set of QPads, objective type question answers. Okay. I'm so happy to tell you many of the questions that come in MH set, they are directly from our books. Yes. So if you want to have our books, you can contact us on 93878 39871. Let's begin today's session. I have thought we will take 15 questions in one round. Okay. So 15 questions of the day. Question number one. Who does Philip Sidney in his essay, An Apology for Poetry, call peerless? Your options are A, philosopher, B, historian, C, lawyer, or D, poet. Peerless. The answer is option D, poet. Well, An Apology for Poetry, also called as a defense of poesy, is a work of literary criticism by Sidney, which was published posthumously in the year 1595. Now, in this work, he said that poetry is more effective than history and philosophy in rousing its readers to virtue. Okay? लॉ का तो नाम ही नहीं लिया गया है तो इसीलिए यहाँ पे ये जो लॉयर है ना दिस इज ऑड वन आउट राइट एंड लुक एट सिडनी ऑन द स्क्रीन लुक एट हिज ड्रेस मस्त है लेट्स मूव ऑन Question number two. This post-colonial Canadian novel won the Booker Prize in 2000. It depicts a Canadian woman writer and her companions returning to the wilderness of Northern Quebec in search of her lost father. Identify the novel. Your options are A, In the Skin of a Lion, B, Such a Long Journey, C, What Do You Think You Are, or D, Surfacing. It is option D, Surfacing. Well, Surfacing, was published in the year 1972. It has an unnamed female protagonist who searches for her missing father along with her boyfriend Joe and a married couple, Anna and David. Now, in the end, she comes to know that her father is dead, because of which she goes mad. How? Number one, she starts eating wild plants. Second, she starts sleeping in the open. Third, she starts believing she's pregnant with a divine child, and so on and so forth. Well, this novel uses the flashback narrative technique, okay? And look here, this is the book cover, Surfacing, a novel by Margaret Atwood. Good enough? Question number three. Victor Shklovsky was a member of A, Russian formalism, B, New Critical School, C, Prague School, or D, Moscow School. Victor Shklovsky. You know it. It is option A, Russian formalism. Well, Shklovsky lived from 1893 to 1984. He's very famous for his essay titled Art as a Technique or Art and Device of 1917. Now, what did he say in Art as Technique? First, art means thinking in images. And second, he invented a term called as defamiliarization. And he used it to differentiate poetic language with the everyday prose language. Good enough? Now look here on the screen. Here we have young Shklovsky, old Shklovsky. I looked at these images and I was like, look how wonderfully, we all age with wonder and gaze. Nice. Let's move on. Question number 4. The beautiful, spoiled, and bored Olivia, married to a civil servant, outrages society in the tiny, suffocating town of Sitapur by eloping with an Indian prince. Identify the novel. Option A, Roots and Shadows. B, A Silence of Desire. C, Heat and Dust. Or D, Strange Obsession. This Indian prince is called the Nawab. Who did Olivia elope with? In which novel? It is option C, Heat and Dust. Well, as you can see, Heat and Dust is written by Ruth Prawer Jhabwala. Okay. and it is a 1975 novel. It won the Booker Prize in 1975. Now, you have to know this. Ruth, she was from Germany, but then she lived in different parts of the world. For example, England, India, and America. And she lived from 1927 to 2013. Okay. Now, this is a historical novel, Heat and Dust, and it actually talks of colonialism as well as post-colonialism. Good enough? Aage badhe. Question number 5. The situational approach to foreign language teaching requires that option A, language be taught in specific realistic situations. B, learners be drilled in rules of grammar. C, learners must be made to translate extensively. Or D, vocabulary must be built in the target language. What does the situational approach to foreign language say? It is option A, language be taught in specific realistic situations. Well, according to this situational approach, you have to teach a foreign language by using words and sentences from a real situation or an imagined real situation. Okay, aage badhe. Question number 6. Which of Chinua Achebe's novels depicts the conflict of Odili, a representative of the changing younger generation, with the traditional customs of Nigeria? Your options are A, Ant Hills of the Savannah, B, No Longer at Ease, C, Arrow of God, or D, A Man of the People. Chinua Achebe's novel talking about old generation versus new generation. It is option D, A Man of the People. Well, Chinua, as you know, was a Nigerian novelist, poet, and a critic who lived from 1930 to 2013. A Man of the People is a clash, as I told you, between Odili, who is young and educated, and Chief Nanga, or Nanga Chief as he's called, who was his former teacher. Okay, and look at Chinua on the screen. Good, na? Let's move on to question number 7. By peripeteia, Aristotle means your options are A, climax, B, anticlimax, C, reversal of fortune, or D, interlude. Peripeteia, of course, it is C, reversal of fortune. Peripeteia means change in circumstances or turning point in a drama. Aristotle discussed it in his Poetics, right? And in tragedy, peripeteia leads to terror and mercy, while in comedy, it leads to smile or tears. Okay, let's move on. Question number 8. Which is the autobiographical novel by Sharankumar Limbale? Your options are A, Akkarmashi, B, Juthan, C, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness, or D, none of the above. It is option A, Akkarmashi. Look at that on the screen. Akkarmashi, Sharankumar Limbale, the Hindi edition cover. Now, you know it, Limbale, he is a 1956 born Marathi author and a poet, and his works are pioneers of Dalit literature. His autobiography, Akkarmashi, was translated into English language with the title of, tell me, The Outcast. Perfect. 1991, right? Let's move on. Question number 9. In George Orwell's novel 1984, what is Newspeak? Option A, a newspaper. B, a propaganda system. C, a language. Or D, a communication network. What is Newspeak? Newspeak. It is option C, a language. Actually, it is a fictional language of Oceania, and Oceania is the totalitarian state that is mentioned in this novel 1984. Now, a little bit about this language Newspeak. In this, the words are simplified so that the people don't think much. And second, the language eliminates all the undesirable words. Why? So that the party can keep its force over its people. Right? And look here on the screen, the cover of George Orwell 1984. The cover is so beautiful, unlike the novel, right? Aage badhe. Question number 10. Who is the speaker of the lines? Then my glasses cut in more subtle angles to disperse and multiply the figures as I walk naked between my succubae. Your options are A, Sir Epicure Mammon, B, Face, C, Subtle, or D, Love Wit. Who talks of sex? Succubae. It is option A, Sir Epicure Mammon, in Ben Jonson's 1610 performed play, The Alchemist. Well, you know it. Basically, Mammon, he wants a philosopher's stone for many reasons. First, he wants to turn the metal into gold. Second, he wants to turn the old into young. And third, he wants to improve his sexual skills, to have a sex expertise. And then he says these lines. What does he mean by these lines? He wants mirrors and mirrors in his bedroom, जैसे trial room में होता है. So why does he want? So that his reflection is multiplied when he walks naked towards his lover. And he has addressed his lover as succubae. And who is succubae? Well, she's a female demon who's fabled to have sex with sleeping men. What all do novels tell and novelists think about? Oh God, let's move on. Question number 11. Which of the following statements is not true about Victorian fiction? Option A, realism was replaced by experimental techniques. B, the novel of manners and the novel of sentiment were the models. C, multi-volume novels became popular. Or D, the mystery thriller and the sensation novel drawing inspiration from the Gothic became popular. Which options are correct? Or, sorry, not correct? Look at the options below. I'll tell you the answer directly. Only A is not true. That is, realism was replaced by experimental techniques. No, Victorian fiction so spoke about the socialist realist issues, right? Now, Victorian literature, you know, refers to the English literature during the reign of Queen Victoria, which was from 1837 to 1901. This period is considered as the golden age for English literature, especially for the novels, because novel became a leading genre. Okay. Now, works focused, as I told you, on socialist issues. And the famous novelists of the Victorian era included, talk with me, say, Charles Dickens, W.M. Thackeray, the three Bronte sisters, George Eliot, Thomas Hardy, Rudyard Kipling, etc. Good enough? Aage badhe? Question 12. The classification very Indian poems in Indian English is made by, your options are A. Kamala Das, B. A.K. Ramanujan, C. Nissim Ezekiel, or D. Sarojini Naidu. It's an easy one. It is option C, Nissim Ezekiel. Well, remember, he wrote a poem which is called Very Indian Poem in Indian English, in which he has satirized and used irony to tell Indian people's weakness when they use standard English. Okay. Easiest example is the habit of using present continuous tense in place of simple present tense. Now, easiest example I'll give you from the poem itself. A line is, modern generation is neglecting too much going for fashion and foreign thing. Okay. Now, Nissim, you must know, was an Indian Jewish poet who is a foundational figure in post-colonial literature. He lived from 1924 to 2004. Okay, good enough. Let's move on. Question number 13. Match the characters with the play. I'll directly tell you the answer. Here are few characters and here are the plays they belong to. Tell me which character belongs to whom. I'll make it easy. Let's start with the answer. Well, Leontes, as you can see, A, is the king of Sicilia in The Winter's Tale. Option B, Bobadil. He's a military braggart in Every Man in His Humor. Hieronymo is the protagonist of The Spanish Tragedy. Matthew Mary Greek, option D, is a trickster in Ralph Royster Doyster. And the last option, E. de Flores, he is a servant in The Changeling. Done. Question number 14. Who are ape-like beasts in human form in Gulliver's Travels of 1726? Ape-like beasts. Your options are A. Lilliputians, B. Brobdingnagians, C. Hugh-hin-hims, or D. Yahoos. The answer is option D, Yahoos. Well, I'll tell you a line from the book itself. Quote, Yahoos is a brute in human form, resembling human beings far too closely for the liking of protagonist Lemuel Gulliver, right? And look at the screen. Here is the first edition cover of Gulliver Travels, which is a 1726 prose satire by Jonathan Swift. Easy. The next and the last question of the day. Rohinton Mysteries, A Fine Balance, is set in. Your options are A. Kolkata, B. An unidentified city, C. Delhi, or D. Hyderabad. The answer is B, an unidentified city. Now, Mistry, is an Indian born Canadian writer, and all his novels are set in India and they speak from the perspective of Parsis. Okay, and A Fine Balance is his second novel, and it is set in an unidentified city. This question, it actually came in MHSET, and it said it is set in Mumbai, but then nowhere it is said that the novel is set in Mumbai. Okay, so the answer is an unidentified city. Okay, let's move on. We are done. I hope you liked today's session. This is just the start. Every day, I'm going to come with 15 questions to help you with Maharashtra set. If you liked it, do comment. And whatever your score was, do comment that as well. Thank you so much. This is Heena from Team TES. Bye.